What's going on, everybody? Here's another episode of Spec Talk for you, and this episode's all about DC keys, revolving around Blue Beetle, the Justice League Dark, and a few other small little avenues, and let's jump right into it. Alright, the first one we're going to talk about here is kind of an obvious one. Infinite Crisis number 5 and number 3 are first appearance of Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle. And now we saw those set photos. We know we're getting a comic-accurate Blue Beetle suit for an HBO show, movie, something coming down the lines, and I was pretty surprised. It looks pretty good. And, of course, Infinite Crisis 3 and 5 have exploded on the secondhand market. And surprisingly, the Perez variants, yes, the late, great George Perez variants, aren't doing as much as I thought they would. They're very, very affordable considering what the A covers is doing at the moment. Not sure my 3 is, but here's the Perez variant for number 5. And it's a great Superman cover. I think number 3 is Superman and Wonder Woman fighting. And sure, the A cover has Reyes on it, and A covers are always going to be the hot ones. But I think, sadly, after Perez's passing, and these are great covers, I think these Perez covers have a lot more room to grow. And the thing is, since we're getting some sort of Blue Beetle project, I guess that means we're going to need some side characters. Like a Cub Scout. When I think blue, I think gold. Booster Gold number 1 is a triple key. Plenty of high ROI on this book. I mean, first appearance of Booster, Skeets, and Blackguard. I mean, we saw this book explode earlier last year around the Suicide Squad movie. These Blackguard was, I think, was that Pete Davidson's character, I believe? If I remember correctly, he was killed off pretty quickly. But still, this is a very good book to buy up. I mean, Booster Gold number 1, just so classic. I mean, really, the thing is, you can't have Blue Beetle without Booster Gold. And he was in the Flash show recently. He's been introduced. But online, you have $25, $40, $60 for a high copy. I mean, $25, $40 buy-in, that's not that bad. Again, it's a triple key on a legacy character. I think this is a great jump in. And if we get Booster Gold, we just might get Ted Kord. And Ted Kord opens up the floodgates to plenty of other Charlton characters. The Question is one of those characters that comes to mind right away. I mean, his first appearance is an extremely hard to find book. I mean, good luck getting a copy. But this Charlton Bullseye number 1 is the reintroduction of The Question in 1981. This is a way more affordable comic, and definitely one I can see spiking if he shows up. You know, anywhere from $10 to $20 bids on solds, and you can find this book probably in a lot of your LCSs and those, cheap bids. I would go looking for this book. There's not a whole lot of affordable question keys, and I think this makes the list. The only other affordable question keys I could even think of would be like Question 1, Crisis on Earth 6, which would be his introduction to the DC Universe, and of course 52, number 48, which is when Renee Montoya becomes the Question. But this is more, I don't think they would do Renee Montoya. I think they would do the original Question in this Blue Beetle series, and this would, in my opinion, be the number 1 book to pop off before those other ones. Now, of course, we would get more than just the Question, and Zatanna is a character that has been rumored to hit live action for years now. And of course, that Hawkman 4 is a stupid expensive book. It always has been. It's always been a hard book to find. I mean, I've seen Hawkman 1s, 3s, 8s, whatever. But the 4, I just don't see that often. It just doesn't come up. And Adam number 19 is her second appearance. That's another, I just never see it. I've seen a few copies here. They're never within my price range for that condition. But her third appearance, that's a book you can afford. Okay, Green Lantern 42 is the second cover appearance of Zatanna, third full appearance. And this is a good book. You can check out your LCS, see if it's there. Maybe they got it for $25, $30. And if it's a decent copy, I mean, it might be worth picking up. Considering online, it can sell anywhere from $40 to $60 sometimes for sometimes a mid to low range copy. And high grade copies, they're few and far between these days. Keep an eye out on those open bids too, because people aren't always looking out for those early appearances. But third appearance isn't too shabby. I think this is a book that could definitely have a lot of room to grow. Now, third appearance isn't too bad, but first solo story in Flash 198 is another sleeper book. I mean, considering it took 3 years, I think, for Zatanna to get her first full story, and also by Gil Kane, what a beautiful cover. I think I spent $8 on this book. I mean, this is a good book to buy for $10 or less, and it has plenty of ROI. I mean, let's be honest. First solo story of Zatanna, I'm surprised I get this for under $50. So yeah, I'll show you my market research, but always check your LCS first, because you never know. Maybe you'll find this for $5, $10 there too, and save money on shipping. Plus, it's always good to support the LCS. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. Blue Beetle isn't the only project I see Zatanna being on, because Justice League Dark has been rumored for years and years and years to hit live action, and sure, the team was officially introduced in the New 52. I think I have this on my wall somewhere, so I would have pulled it down for you guys. But Justice League Dark kind of go further back than that. In 1985, Swamp Thing Annual Number 2 hit the scene in an unofficial cameo appearance of the Justice League Dark, where we kind of get somewhat of a lineup of all these horror-type characters in the DC Universe fighting alongside each other. Around that time period, we get 3 more appearances before their full appearance in Swamp Thing number 50. We would have a very similar lineup, a lot of the same characters would pop in and out of the books throughout the years, both in the New 52 run prior and afterwards. But this would be the book that would be kind of known as their first kind of unofficial appearance, since they wouldn't get the name until the New 52. Another thing worth mentioning is how cheap this book is. I mean, at your LCS, you probably find it for about $20. That's usually what it goes for. But sometimes online you find it a little cheaper, but I always suggest going to the LCS first. And I've said it a few times in this video, but this is a good book you can find for 9 times out of 10 pretty cheap. The thing is, to have a team, you gotta have a roster. And Shade the Changing Man could quite make that roster. I mean, who knows? He was on, I think, the original unofficial roster. And he's one of the characters that comes to mind. Honestly, he's like a top 10 pick for me who would land on the team. Now, he could be less of a conventional pick, but he's definitely a pick that some people agree with. At least did probably about a year ago. But now he's fallen. He's probably doing about $5 to $10 a piece online. I mean, he's a very affordable for experience. Now, if you want to talk about a character who's baked into the cake, the Demon, yes, from the Jack Kirby series. He is probably my top pick. Him, Zatanna, and another character I'm going to talk about soon. Or honestly, my top picks that have to be on the list. I mean, how do you do Justice League Dark without Etrigan? He's a great dual-sided character. It's so classic, so infamous, and I think every time the Justice League Dark have officially appeared since the New 52, he's been on every roster, he's been a part of every book. I believe he's not a big player in the more modern run, but he's part of the animated movie. He's all over the place, and he's such a classic character. Now, the Demon might cost you a little bit more, considering it's a book from 72, but $40 to $130, that's not too bad. I would fall, if you're for a decent copy, it'd fall into the $100 range, $80 range for this book. And even if nothing comes to Justice League Dark, I think this is still a great Silver Age key to jump on. I mean, one of Jack Kirby's best series, up there with Commandi, and all those other great classic DC stories, and of course along the Marvel side of things with Fantastic Four and all that. I mean, I love the Demon. So classic, so infamous. Now, of course, in the top 3, Zatanna, the Demon. The third character's got to be John Constantine. I mean, everybody knows Saga Swamp Thing and Swamp Thing are 2 very wanted books. I mean, they're great keys. You can still find them sometimes for cheap if you're out there, but they're pretty well-known keys. So I'm not going to sit here and say you should go and buy those. John Constantine, Hellblazer number 1, however, I think has a lot more room to grow. I think that's definitely a book that is a great buy-in right now and is, a lot easier to find. Now, of course, DC Sampler number 3 is a preview appearance of John Constantine, but his first solo series, from the pages of Swamp Thing, Hellblazer number 1 is a great book to jump on. It's still a relatively early appearance of John Constantine, and there's rumors that Constantine's got his own show, whether that's in the CW or the HBO series, or maybe Keanu Reeves will, reprise his role. Who knows? But I think this is definitely a book that has a lot of room to grow. And, there's not a whole lot of Constantine keys. There's that, 42, 43 is when he gets diagnosed with cancer. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of Constantine keys, and this is one you can buy for relatively cheap. Both of our last 2 sold here for under $50. I think any, consider if it's a high-grade copy, any high-grade copy of this book for under $50, I think is a great buy. And this is a great book, classic cover, infamous issue. Go find it. Go check it out. Now, of course, if you're going to do Justice League Dark, you're going to need a villain. And out of the recent series of Justice League Dark, we got the Upside Down Man. In the first issue, we get his cameo appearance. The second issue, his first full appearance. And the third is his first cover. These are all books you can find in the dollar bin now. Maybe, cover price. These books, I would grab them while you can. Because who knows? There's not a whole lot of villains for the Justice League Dark. I think he's up there on the list. Especially considering he's a more modern character. There's rumors of Pandora being the villain or other different characters. But I think the Upside Down Man would be, my first choice if we're doing a Justice League Dark movie or show. Because he's just so different than anything else. Hope you guys enjoyed. I believe this is episode 2 of Spec Talk. So that was, it's always fun getting into new series, trying new things. Like, follow, comment, subscribe here on Facebook. I've got plenty of content coming out on other platforms. I post on Instagram daily, Facebook weekly here, probably about bi-weekly, twice a month I try to aim for. So go follow us there. And Fandoms Unleashed, the Facebook group that I made on, of course, Facebook. Go join and behind the scenes discussions of comics, talk about all kinds of different things. And yeah, check us out. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.